A family pulls into a campground in January. They paid $62,000 for a travel trailer, the dealer called, and I want you to hear this exactly as it was presented to them. 4-season ready. By night 2, the temperature drops to 12 degrees Fahrenheit. By morning, the pipes are frozen. The dump valve is locked solid. The furnace is running at full capacity and the bedroom is still 51 degrees. The repair bill, once they limp back to civilization, is $1,400. The dealer's warranty department tells them frozen pipes are an owner responsibility. The trailer had an Arctic Package sticker on the window when they bought it. Here's the thing, 4-season is one of the most abused phrases in the RV industry. It is completely unregulated. Any manufacturer can print it on any brochure, on any trailer, regardless of whether the insulation behind those walls could warm a garden shed. Standard 3-season trailers typically deliver wall. R values between R3 and R5. A home built to Minnesota code requires R21 in the walls and R49 in the ceiling. Most so-called Arctic Package RVs are not even in the same conversation. The industry has been counting on you not knowing that. Today, we change that. We are auditing 8 RVs that actually earn the right to use the 4-season label. Units with documented specs, verified engineering decisions, and cold weather performance confirmed by owners who were not paid to say nice things about them. Smash that subscribe button because we are about to save you from some seriously expensive mistakes. And stay until the end because the last unit on this list delivers an R24 floor at a price point that makes everything else on this list look overpriced. Unit 1, Northwood Arctic Fox. We are starting where every serious conversation about cold weather camping starts. The Northwood Arctic Fox, built in LaGrange, Oregon, mountain country, by an independent manufacturer that has never been absorbed by Thor or Forest River. That independence matters. We will come back to why it matters for every unit on this list. Most travel trailers are designed in a boardroom and insulated to a price point. The Arctic Fox is designed by people who look out their factory windows at the Blue Mountains and build accordingly. When Northwood says 4-season, they mean the holding tanks are positioned inside the body of the trailer, surrounded by warm air at all times. Not mounted to the underframe with a heat pad zip tied on for good measure, inside the living envelope. That is a fundamentally different engineering philosophy. The Arctic Fox ships standard with R18 ceiling insulation and R15 reflective foil insulation in the roof. Documented on every model from the 22G to the 295T. The frame is fully welded thick wall aluminum with high density block foam insulation. The 30,000 BTU furnace runs one dedicated duct directly to the water holding tanks. When the Arctic Fox says your tanks are heated, they mean the tanks live inside the warm envelope of the trailer. Most competitors mean they taped a 12-volt pad to the outside of a tank and called it a day. Those are not the same thing, not even close. The Arctic Fox is the Carhartt Detroit jacket of the RV industry, built without apology for people who actually work in the cold, not for people who take photographs near snow. But what if you need something designed specifically for mountain altitude, where the temperature swings 40 degrees in a single afternoon and the wind does not care about your R value? That is where our next unit was born. Unit 2. Outdoors, RV, Timber Ridge, Mountain Series. Number 2 is another Pacific Northwest independent, Outdoors RV and their Timber Ridge Mountain Series. The geographic target of this trailer is not a marketing decision, it is a build specification. This unit was designed for mountain states and Western Canada, full stop. Most manufacturers design one trailer and then add an Arctic Package option at the dealership for an extra $2,000. Outdoors RV built the Timber Ridge from the ground up for altitude and extreme temperature swing. The result is a thermal system where even the dump valves are rerouted inside the heated underbelly. Because an engineer looked at the data on where 4-season systems fail at altitude and fixed it before the first unit shipped. The Timber Ridge carries a triple layered roof, a reflective insulation layer plus 2 layers of R7 fiberglass, confirmed at R29 on select models. The underbelly is fully enclosed, heated, and insulated with reflective material lining the underbelly cavity itself. R15 Astro foil insulation runs under the carpet on the slides. Every wall is a rugged 2-inch bonded aluminum frame with a vacuum bonded laminated fiberglass. Hard wall construction, mountain extreme thermal pane windows, and 1-inch thick insulated luggage doors are standard across the lineup. Outdoors RV move the dump valves inside the heated underbelly. That means even your waste system is protected from freezing. Frozen dump valves are one of the most common and most miserable four-season failures in the industry. Outdoors RV fixed it structurally instead of hoping you remember to heat the underbelly long enough before you try to dump. The Timber Ridge is the base camp expedition tent of the RV world, designed for people spending weeks at elevation where the weather does not ask permission before it changes. Both units so far share one thing: aluminum frames and conventional construction, done exceptionally well. Our next unit threw out the entire conventional construction playbook. Unit 3. Oliver Travel Trailer, Elite/Elite 2. Number 3 is the genuine outlier on this list. Built in Hohenwald, Tennessee, by a factory direct manufacturer that has never sold through a dealer network, which means no dealer markup, no dealer upsell, and no dealer stripping the cold weather features out of the package to hit a price point. The Oliver Elite and Elite 2. And if you are finding this breakdown useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Here's the thing about the Oliver: every other unit on this list insulates an RV. Oliver built a thermal vessel and put an RV inside it. The double hull fiberglass construction, an inner shell and an outer shell with an air gap and radiant barrier between them, means the entire body of the trailer functions like a double pane window. There is no traditional underbelly. There is no underbelly at all. Tanks, plumbing, dump valves, ducts, and all mechanical systems are enclosed within the inner hull, inside the heated living envelope, permanently. The air gap between the two fiberglass shells combined with the radiant barrier eliminates cold bridging through the body of the trailer. Dual pane bonded windows are standard. The fiberglass construction is essentially impervious to delamination, moisture intrusion, and rot. The three mechanisms that destroy conventional insulation performance over time in standard trailers. Oliver backs the fiberglass body with a 5-year warranty, and Oliver made components with a 2-year warranty, numbers you do not see in this industry. Translation: the Oliver has no underbelly to freeze, because there is no underbelly. Everything critical is inside the warm shell. This is not a feature. It is an architectural decision that makes an entire category of four-season failure. Frozen underbelly, cracked pipes, seized dump valves. Structurally impossible. Think of the Oliver as a Yeti cooler that you live inside. 2 walls, a thermal barrier between them, and the contents stay at the temperature you set regardless of what happens outside. From the truly unconventional to the major brand that actually did the homework, our next unit proves that volume production and genuine engineering are not always mutually exclusive. Unit 4, Lance Travel Trailers, Four Seasons Comfort Technology. Number 4 is Lance. And Lance earns its place on this list not because of its brand recognition, but because of one specific engineering decision that separates it from every other major label travel trailer that claims four-season capability. Most manufacturers duct heat into the underbelly airspace and call it done. The warm air circulates generally around the tanks and pipes, and everyone hopes for the best. Lance looked at that system and identified its failure mode. The heat is distributed generally, which means the coldest corners, or specifically the tanks, are the last things to warm up and the first things to freeze when the furnace cycles off. Their answer was to route ducted heat directly into individually insulated tank compartments, not into the general underbelly, into each tank's own insulated housing. That is not a checkbox, that is a thermal system. 4 seasons. Comfort technology is standard on virtually all Lance travel trailers. The walls use Asdel composite panels laminated with fiberglass. No wood substrate, no moisture absorption, no long-term R-value degradation over time. Dual-pane acrylic Euro windows are standard. Insulated snap-on hatch covers protect tanks and bays in extreme conditions. The aluminum frame eliminates thermal bridging through wood studs entirely. Lance ducts heat directly into each tank's individual insulated compartment. Your tanks do not get warm air that happens to drift past them. They get a dedicated heat supply. At minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, that distinction is the difference between a working water system and a $1,400 repair bill. Lance's Four Seasons package is the equivalent of in-floor radiant heat in every critical zone of the trailer. Instead of just turning on a space heater in the hallway and hoping the warmth eventually reaches the pipes in the corner bathroom. We are now moving into fifth wheel territory, where the R values get serious and the floor insulation numbers start sounding like they belong in a Minnesota home, not a campsite. Unit 5, Heartland Big Horn, fifth wheel. Number 5 is the Heartland Big Horn. And if this is already saving you from a headache, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. The Bighorn is the fifth wheel entry on this list, and it carries documented R values that approach residential construction standards in the floor and roof. We are not talking about RV grade thermal performance anymore. We are talking about Minnesota home construction standards, applied to a towable unit. Most fifth wheel manufacturers advertise Polar Pack or Yeti package options and charge a premium. The Bighorn's thermal specs are documented numbers: R38 in the main floor with radiant insulation, R34 in the roof, R14 in the upper deck floor, R11 in the walls. To give that context, Minnesota residential code requires R49 in the attic and R21 in the walls. The Bighorn is not a home, but its floor is insulated to a standard that most homes in warm climates never reach. Plumplex PEX water lines are standard throughout. Laminated fiberglass walls eliminate moisture intrusion and sustain delamination. Tinted dark windows reduce radiant heat loss in winter and radiant heat gain in summer. One important note: full-time Bighorn owners in Minneapolis have confirmed the R38 floor performs as advertised. The known weak points are the slide-out seals and the windows. Know what you're buying. Audit the slides before you sign. Translation: R38 in the floor means the ground is not stealing your heat. In a standard 3-season trailer, the floor is essentially a membrane between your feet and whatever the frozen ground radiates upward. The Bighorn put residential attic insulation under your feet. Most RVs have plastic sheeting. The Bighorn's floor insulation is what happens when an engineer looks at the actual data on where heat escapes in a fifth wheel and decides to fix it structurally instead of adding a heat pad and a warranty disclaimer. From the independent builders and the heavy iron, let us talk about the major volume manufacturer that actually tested their cold weather system with an independent partner and published the results. Unit 6, Jayco Eagle HT, travel trailer / fifth wheel with climate shield. Number 6 is Jayco, and this is the entry on the list that requires the most important caveat. Jayco is owned by Thor Industries, the largest RV conglomerate on the planet. We are not in the business of handing out participation trophies to Thor subsidiaries, but the Climate Shield package on the Eagle HT is genuinely engineered, and we can prove it. Jayco partnered with Dometic, Key, an independent thermal systems company, to test the Climate Shield. They published the result, 0 degrees Fahrenheit sustained. That is not a marketing claim written by a copywriter. That is a documented test outcome. The 35,000 BTU furnace, higher than most competitors' 30,000 BTU standard, runs into a fully enclosed, ducted heated underbelly. Double-sided radiant barrier insulation covers the roof, the floor, and behind the front cap. PEX plumbing is rated to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The Magnum truss roof withstands 4,500 pounds, 50% more than the competition, which matters when you are camped under a foot of wet snow and the roof is your primary insulation barrier. Now, the caveat: Climate Shield is standard on the Eagle HT specifically, but not on all Jayco product lines. Dealers have been known to strip badges. Before you purchase any Eagle HT claiming Climate Shield, look inside the pass-through basement. If you see reflective foil lining the ceiling of the underbelly and a furnace duct opening into that space, the package is present. If you see bare plywood and no furnace vent, keep walking. The Eagle HT with a verified Climate Shield is a 35,000 BTU furnace blown into a ducted underbelly lined with radiant barrier insulation, covered by the thickest roof membrane in the category. That is a real thermal system. Verify the specific unit before you sign anything. The Thor supply chain is not always consistent. The Eagle HT with Climate Shield is the well-equipped work truck of this list. Built by a large manufacturer, the package itself is engineered, tested, and documented. Verify the underbelly, then drive it home with confidence. from the largest manufacturer on this list to arguably the most purpose-built, a Canadian truck camper company that tested their unit to -4 Fahrenheit with water on board and put that number on their website. Unit 7, Northern Light Truck Campers. Number 7 is Northern Light, British Columbia, Canada. And the first thing you need to know about Northern Light is that they do not make a 3-season version of their camper and then add a cold weather package as a dealer option. They make one standard, and that standard is 4-season. All of it, every unit, every time. Northern Light is not trying to sell you a cold weather upgrade. They are selling you a product built to the only standard they recognize, which is, will it work at -20 degrees Celsius? That is -4 Fahrenheit, with water running through the system. They tested it, it does. They published the test. That is the entire conversation. The one-piece seamless fiberglass shell eliminates the primary infiltration point of most truck campers, the seams. Seams are where cold air enters, where moisture intrudes, and where insulation eventually compresses and loses our value. Northern Light has none. High-density foam insulation runs through the walls, roof, floor, and uniquely, the bottom floor surface as a standard feature. The cab overbed area is double insulated specifically to prevent moisture condensation in the most vulnerable spot in a truck camper. Holding tanks are enclosed inside the insulated living area, not externally mounted. Furnace heat ducts to the basement area, heating both the floor and the tanks simultaneously. Double pane thermal windows are standard on every unit. Northern Light did not write -4 Fahrenheit tested on their website until they actually ran the test. In an industry where Arctic Package means a heat pad zip tied to a tank, a published cold weather test result with water on board is a primary source document. It is the closest thing to a forensic audit that a consumer can ask for from a manufacturer. Northern Light is the Canadian work park of truck campers. Not designed for fashion, not designed for the Instagram post at base camp. Designed for the fact that the temperature really does go below zero, and your water system needs to function when it does. And now, the unit that will surprise the most people on this list. The one that rewards the buyer who stops looking at the badge and starts reading the data sheet. The one that earns the save thousands part of this video's title most directly. Unit 8, KZ Sportsman with Climate Package. The accessible gold standard number 8. The KZ Sportsman with the Climate Package. And this is the one you came for. Even if you did not know it yet, every other unit on this list costs more. Some of them cost significantly more. The Arctic Fox, the Oliver, the Big Horn. These are serious investments for serious cold weather campers with serious budgets. But here's the thing. Stop shopping like a victim and start thinking like an auditor. Because when you look at the KZ Sportsman's Climate Package datasheet, not the brochure, the datasheet, you find an R20 radius roof, an R24 floor, R9 sidewalls, and a fully enclosed, insulated, and heated underbelly protecting all tanks and pipes, at a price point that lands well below most of the competition on this list. The R24 floor rating is not a typo. The 5/8" tongue and groove flooring with R24 thermal rating is documented. The R20 radius roof is documented. The R9 sidewalls are documented. The fully enclosed heated underbelly is confirmed. The 30,000 BTU furnace is standard. GVWR lands at 7,000 pounds, genuinely towable by a properly equipped half-ton or 3/4 ton truck. At 32 feet, it offers a functional full-time capable floor plan. This is the unit that rewards the buyer who actually opens a spec sheet instead of the brochure cover. Translation R24 in the floor from a manufacturer that is not charging you for a prestige badge. You can spend $4,000 to $5,000 less than the entry price of some competitors on this list and still park your feet on a floor that outperforms what most Arctic Package fifth wheels deliver. The industry is counting on you not knowing that. Now you do. The KZ Sportsman with the Climate Package is the thermal equivalent of a mid-range insulated work boot. Not the most famous name on the shelf, but when you look at the actual insulation specification, you realize you have been paying for the logo on the expensive ones. Here is the state of the industry in plain language. 4-season is an unregulated marketing label. Most RVs wearing it are held together by hope and self-tapping screws when the real cold arrives. The 8 units on this list exist in a different category. not because a marketing team decided they did, but because engineers made specific, documented, expensive decisions that separate genuine thermal performance from a sticker on a window. The Arctic Fox earned it with tanks positioned inside the living envelope. The Timber Ridge earned it with dump valves rerouted into the heated underbelly. The Oliver earned it by eliminating the underbelly concept entirely. Lance earned it with individually ducted tank compartments. The Bighorn earned it with R38 under your feet. The Jayco Eagle HT earned it with a 0-degree independently tested result. Northern Light earned it with a water-on test at -4 Fahrenheit. And the KZ Sportsman earned it with R24 floors at a price that makes the rest of the industry look like it is charging you for the badge. Before you write a check on any RV claiming 4-season status, run this 4-point audit. 1. Demand the R value documentation by component, ceiling, floor, and wall as separate numbers, not the brochure, the spec sheet. 2. Confirm the underbelly is actively ducted with furnace air, not just enclosed with heat pads zip-tied to the tanks. 3. Verify the dump valves are inside the thermal envelope and not exposed to open air. 4. Search the specific model on an RV owner form followed by the word winter, and read what people who actually camped in it have to say. Stop shopping like a victim and start thinking like an auditor. The 8 units on this list pass that audit. Most of what you will find on a dealer lot will not. The industry is not going to tell you any of this. That is exactly why this channel exists. Let me know in the comments which brand on this list surprised you the most. And if you want to make smarter choices, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.